I could just test my audio.
I still can't get Richard's audio through the speaker.
Oh, I muted myself. Sorry.
Oh, it's sort of a mixed bag. We'll go with it though for now. We'll wait. Morgan, can you give us a cue when you're ready?
It's got bad video.
We still, okay, that looks good. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Saugeen Shores Committee of Adjustment. It's February the 21st, 2023, and it's 5 o'clock, and we're meeting virtually. So the meeting is now called to order at 5:01, and we'll ask member Michael Martin to read the land acknowledgement, please.
Thank you very much. We acknowledge that we are meeting on traditional lands and treaty territory, the Saugeen Nation, which consists of the Chippewas, Saugeen, and the Chippewas of Nation and Treaty First Nation. We understand that this land holds immense significance for the people of Saugeen, Ojibwe Nation. We appreciate those who live and work alongside us and who continue the traditions of their ancestors as stewards of the land. We are privileged to inhabit. We thank them for the contributions they've made in both caring for the land and in shaping the community. We commit to truth and reconciliation, to acknowledging the truth about what has happened to the Indigenous people because of colonization, and to reconciliation, which begins with each and every one of us. As local governments and public organizations, we are decided to learn about Indigenous culture, to foster a better relationship with First Nations and their peoples, and we commit ourselves to the actions that move us forward on a path to healing along with the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Michael. And we've, I think, figured out the audio situation. So sorry for the bit of echoing at the beginning of that, but the message came through loud and clear. I'd like to ask now about any acknowledgements of pecuniary interest you can declare now or at any point during the agenda. Seeing none, we will proceed to item 4 on the agenda, which is the adoption of minutes from the January 16th, 2023 Committee of Adjustment meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Michael Martin, seconded by Mike Mayette, by Stephanie Mayette. Are there any concerns, comments, questions, or corrections? Okay, then all in favor of approving the minutes? That's carried. We have 2 public meetings on the agenda tonight. They've given me a new script, so we'll work from it. Next on the agenda is a public meeting for file number minor variance A-2022-078. And it's a public meeting that we're holding under the Planning Act. The meeting for this file is now open. Purpose of the public meeting is to learn from the application and to hear from members of the public. First, we'll receive a report from the planning staff, and that planner, I believe, is Karina.
Good evening. Thank you through you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to share my screen. So I am presenting this evening on a minor variance application. This is for Annette Schrank, and the property is located at 684 Gustavus Street. The applicant is seeking to amend variances which were previously approved in 2021 through minor variance application A-2021-027, which would facilitate the severance of the lot, which was also conditionally approved in 2021 under consent file B-2021-043. So what had happened in this situation is the applicant had submitted a sketch as part of their original variance application in 2021, which the county had assisted the applicant with in digitizing it to make it readable for the purposes of the agenda and for processing the application itself. The sketch, once the surveyor had actually gone to the property after both the original variance and consent application were approved, the survey identified that the lot boundaries were a little bit off from what the applicant had originally proposed through her sketch to the county and to the town. And so because of that more detailed accuracy, which you can see as an excerpt of the survey plan here, that triggered the need for additional a variance to amend those that had been approved in 2021. So on this site plan that's before you, part 1 is the proposed retained parcel. It does contain an existing single family dwelling. And then on part 2 is proposed to be severed, and that would also contain a new dwelling. So as part of part 1, what I've shown in this chart and included in your report is what the zoning bylaw requirements are, what was previously approved in 2021 under the original minor variance application, and the current application, which is correcting some of those dimensions that had been provided in the original application. And so this is particularly, this chart refers to part 1, which are the lands to be retained. The second slide is part 2. So these are the lands to be severed and on which a new single family dwelling would be constructed. The applicant has also asked to reduce the minimum front yard. Originally, she was requesting 4-meter setback and is now asking for 2 meters, which would bring that in line with the current boundary or boundary wall of the existing home. So creating a kind of continuous facade along Hilker Street. So these are some photos of the site. So this is the existing dwelling on the property. And this is the rear yard, which will become the new lot on which the new home would be constructed. And this is taken from the rear of the site on just this side of the large cedar, and I believe another bush in that location. There is a municipal laneway as well. So we did review the applications on the basis of the 4 tests, and we do feel that the application does satisfy those 4 tests and does represent good land use planning. We did receive comments from various agencies and departments. I did want to provide one clarification. Within the report, it notes that the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation had identified the need for potentially having an archaeological assessment completed on the lands to be severed should new development be proposed in that location. Through further discussions with the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation Environment Office, we have confirmed that they are waiving that requirement, and should any archaeological resources be found during construction of a new home on that property, that they be advised of that moving forward. We did not receive any public comments on this application. And so to summarize, the applicant is seeking to amend the variances that were previously approved in 2021, which would facilitate the severance of the lot and allow for the construction of a new home on the parcel to be severed. Our recommendation is that committee approve the minor variance subject to the conditions on the decision sheet, which is also included with your application. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Karina. I believe that a representative of the applicant is on the Zoom, at the Zoom meeting. Not this far, okay. I've been corrected. Are there any questions or comments from any members of the committee? Go ahead, Chad.
Through you, Vice Deputy Mayor. For the sake of the future minute, and because I don't recall seeing it in the materials, and maybe it is, could we specifically note what Ms. Smith said about the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation follow-up? I'm just thinking, if, as a matter of record, we would want that minuted.
Well, I now declare the public meeting to be closed, and we've already had our comments, so we can now consider the recommendation, and the recommendation was to approve according to the planner's report, with the conditions that are attached, that you would have seen in your package. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Vice Deputy Mayor Myatt and seconded by Rachel Stack, Councillor Stack. Any further discussion? All those in favor? The resolution is carried. We'll move on to the second application now, which is a planning application for file number. It's a minor variance application for file number A-2022-081. It's by Deanna Sakai and Richard Allingham. My apologies, Deanna, if I've mispronounced your name. The address for the file is 237 Cole Boulevard. The purpose of this public meeting is to learn about the application and to hear from any members of the public. First, we're going to hear a report from the planner, and then we'll have comments from the applicant if they so desire. And then we'll close the public meeting and have our own comments from members of the committee. So I'll ask Jillian to make the planning report initially.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. So as noted, I will be presenting minor variance application A-2022-081. The address is 237 Cole Boulevard. The applicants are proposing a minor variance to the residential first density zone to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 7.5 meters to 4.6 meters. Approval of this variance would allow the construction of an addition onto the existing dwelling. For context, there is an existing dwelling on the property. This dwelling was constructed before the in effect zoning bylaw, and the existing dwelling has a rear yard setback of 4.6 meters, and this would be considered legal non-conforming as it predates the current setback requirement of 7.5 meters. The proposed addition would be in line with these existing setback and therefore triggers the need for a minor variance. So this is the site plan, and you can see that the proposed addition is on the side of the house, creating a sort of L shape, and will be flush with the rear of the existing house. So the existing 4.6 meter setback will be maintained, and hopefully you can see that right here. These are some elevations that were drawn by the applicant showing the addition. And these are some site photos of the house in its current condition. This area is where the addition will go. It will go on a portion of the side, and it will be 1 story. So in accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, relief from the zoning bylaw may only be granted if the variance passes 4 tests. So an analysis of these 4 tests is provided in the planning report, which is contained in your agenda. And the planning report concludes that the proposal does meet the intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, is appropriate development of the land, and will be minor in nature. Therefore, the application, in my opinion, passes 4 tests. In terms of agency comments, Grace Level Risk Assessment provided comments and had no objections. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority had no objection. The town of Saugeen Shores provided no objection, and the historic Saugeen Métis also provided no objection, and no public comments were received for this application. So in summary, this application is proposing to reduce the rear yard setback from the requirement of 7.5 meters to the existing 4.6 meters. The proposal meets the 4 tests of minor variance, and therefore staff is recommending approval of the application. thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Does the applicant wish to speak? Deanna, are you interested in speaking? I don't believe so then. So now the committee can discuss. Are there any comments, questions for the planner?
I'm sorry, I think we were muted there. I apologize for that.
Oh, okay.
It was just saying that we are family.
Could you just identify yourself because you're.
Yes, I'm Richard Allingham.
Sorry?
Richard Allingham. And then we were muted, and I guess I just made a one sentence comment is that our family had grown and we needed more bedroom space, and we as the owners and as sort of moving on into the senior realm, we wanted to be on the first floor. So that's what occasioned the desire and the need for the addition. So that's pretty well it.
Well, thank you very much, Richard. So are there any comments or questions, concerns from any members of the committee? Seeing none, then we have a recommendation before us to approve minor variance application A-2022-81 according to the planning report. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Michael Martin, seconded by Nancy Darlington Smith. Are there any other comments? All in favor? Minor variance resolution is approved. We have a rather short meeting tonight. On the agenda, it indicates our next meeting date as March the 20th, 2023. That will be confirmed a little closer to the date, depending upon the need to meet and the applications available. I did want to encourage all the members of the committee. This is now your third meeting, and we're kind of getting going. I'm sure we might see a revised script for the chair a few more times until we get it right. But if you have any questions or concerns, or you have anything that you would like us to include in maybe some additional training, please feel free to send an email to me or to Jay Posner with the town, and we'll try and work in some responses to any questions you might have or comments based on your experience now as attending 3 Committee of Adjustment meetings. So does anybody else have anything else to add to the meeting? Then I'll just call for adjournment. Can I have a mover and a seconder? It's moved by Chad Zimmerman, seconded by Councillor Stack. So I do declare that this meeting is adjourned at 5:20, I believe. It's hard to see the clock. Thank you very much.
Take care.